Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting for April 21st, 7 o'clock. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we can all please remain standing for a moment of silence for our first responders and military members, please. Thank you. May be seated. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Ross.
Present.
Councilmember Paul.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Semmer. Mayor Moran.
Present.
For the record, Councilmember Wallace is not in attendance.
Thank you. Next, we have citizen comments. Citizen comments is for the items. Let's go ahead and do closed session announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session earlier to discuss items number 6 and 8 on this evening's closed session agenda. Deliberation occurred. No reportable action was taken. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we have changes to the agenda. Council, are there any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would request that council move up items 13 and 14 above item 12. So move them right after consent.
(13) and 14, so discussion before consent.
Yes.
I have no problem with that. Anybody
No,
else?
I'll second it if you need a motion, that's fine.
So there's,
All motion to move items 13 and 14 above item 12.
we have a motion by Councilmember Paul, second by Mayor Pro Tem Samra. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Ross.
Yes.
Councilmember Paul.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Semmer. Yes. Mayor Moran.
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have citizen comments. This section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the City Council on any item not on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening. Is there any citizen comments on the items on the agenda? Anyone on the phone? 703. Anyone in the chamber? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at this time at 703. Next, we have awards, presentations, and proclamations. Item number 1, presentation by Sam Sansinger, Head of On-Site Generation and Electrification, and Tiffany Nguyen, Assistant Manager, Forefront Power, WWTP's Solar Project Performance Update.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you might recall, out at the wastewater treatment plant, we have a number of different solar arrays. And so as part of our presentation today is just to basically ask our partner to communicate, the savings based on the original contract and what we set out to obtain as part of the overall savings in our, as it relates to our wastewater treatment facility. So Tiffany, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just quickly
Oh,
introduce.
sorry.
That's my colleague Sam. He's joining us via phone today, but he will lead the presentation, and yeah, I'll let him start.
All right, thank you, Sam, for being available, and Tiffany, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening, Council, and thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak with you all this evening. I apologize for not being able to be in person, but fortunately, Tiffany is there. My name is Sam Zantzinger. I am our on-site generation senior director, and Tiffany is the city's project asset manager. Next slide, please. So Forefront Power is a turnkey developer that is headquartered in San Francisco. We really focus on developing projects with California public sector, just like the city of Livingston, in similar project scope and size. And we are a wholly owned subsidiary of a company called Mitsui. Next slide, please. Mitsui is a very large Japanese energy conglomerate that allows us to have a very stable parent company. What that means for the city is that your partner, your solar partner, is able to provide and support the terms of the contract for the full life of the project. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, Forefront Power is really solely focused on solar, energy storage, and fleet electrification projects. So the project at the reclamation facility is, again, right within the wheelhouse of the services that we provide. Next slide, please. So back in 2020, city staff went to evaluate their city facilities to identify opportunities for solar generation to lower utility costs. Through their research, they identified a statewide RFP that was administered by a joint powers authority called SPUR. SPUR is a consortium of over 300 California public agencies whose sole mandate is to run competitive solicitations and be made available for other public agencies. The REAP program, the Renewable Energy Aggregated Procurement, was administered throughout the state, and Forefront Power was the awarded provider for that program. And so over the span of many months, staff and Forefront evaluated sites, historical usage data, ways to generally lower costs through renewable power. And on the next slide, the city decided to evaluate a power purchase agreement for the water reclamation facility. A power purchase agreement is a way for the city to have deployed this solar project with no upfront cost. Forefront Power financed, designed, constructed, and now owns and operates this solar system in exchange for a fixed flat rate. So the terms of the agreement with the city are exactly that. We effectively generate power from the solar system at a flat rate for 20 years. At the time that this project was conceptualized, there was a federal tax credit that we were able to monetize and offer a low rate for the solar generation. Operations and maintenance are included in the power purchase agreement, as well as a very strong performance guarantee to ensure that there is generation from the system delivered to the city. Next slide, please. So back in April of 2021, after a subcommittee review, staff review, and a lot of diligence that went into this project, the city evaluated a 650 kilowatt single axis tracking project that was expected to deliver about $70,000 in year one and nearly $3 million over a 20-year span. Council, we had a great discussion many years ago. It's crazy that it's been 5 years, nearly to the date. And I wish I could be there in person with you guys. But from that point on, council approved unanimously, and Forefront began work on the solar project. Next slide, please. And we started construction, and so these are some glory shots. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide.
Sorry, I think there's just, no, I think this is the slide that he wants. There's just a bit of a delay with the live
Okay, perfect,
stream.
sorry. There's a little bit of a delay on the YouTube. So how does the solar project work? After a very successful construction process, the system came online and has been outperforming expectations. Over a 2-year span, this 642 kilowatt project has delivered 56% of energy offset, and has exceeded the performance guarantee that was worked through in our agreement. To date, 2,600 megawatt hours of clean power have been delivered to the facility, and all of this has been delivered on the Net Energy Metering 2.0 program. Next slide, please. While the solar system has been exceeding our performance guarantee year over year, we've also exceeded savings expectations. In the first year alone, we saw over $170,000 of savings, and then in the second year, nearly $150,000 of savings. So just in the first 2 years alone, the city has avoided utility costs of over $300,000, which is fantastic. And so with that, I welcome any questions, but I want to first acknowledge Jose and the city staff. It took many years to conceptualize the project, construct the project, and bring this project online. And city staff has been incredibly responsive, supportive, and engaged throughout this entire process. So just want to extend a great deal of appreciation for city staff that worked on this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation and for making the effort to explain what has been accomplished since it was installed. Council, are there any questions at this time? So let me go out for public comment, and then I'll bring it back to the dais for any additional comments. At this time, 7:12, I'll send it out for public comment or questions. Is there anyone on the phone that might have any questions? Hearing none, bringing it back to the chamber. Is there any questions or comments in the chamber? Here, seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 7:12, bringing it back to the dais. Quick question, and then, so this agreement is for 20 years, and with technology changing all the time, are there any more improved solar panels out there that you guys are using currently that might outperform the ones that we have already?
I think that the technology is constantly developing, and of course in the future there will be panels that outperform the ones that we currently have installed, but we size these systems and install these panels based on the usage at the site. So even if there are better panels out there, I mean the panels that are currently installed are expected to last the 20 years and continue to deliver energy to the site.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Mayor, it's a great question. So we installed the leading technology at the time when the project was implemented. The contract with Forefront is to deliver a set value of power to your facility. And so if there's at any point a game changer of technology, we will absolutely evaluate it and look to potentially replace the technology in place. The gains that Tiffany mentioned, I would say, are likely nominal based on the technology that's in the operating system right now. These are incremental improvements over time, but again, we would evaluate on an ongoing basis if there's anything that warrants replacement.
Great, thank you. Council, anything else? Well, Sam and Tiffany, thank you very much. It was very informative, and I know that this is very helpful since getting an update on kind of seeing what the performance was since, actually this was installed back in 21, right? So I appreciate the presentation and the information.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate your time today, and feel free to reach out if you have any further questions or concerns.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next, next item is a receive and file. Item number 2, receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. And there's, okay, and perfect. And we have someone online that is going to go ahead and talk about with the presentation.
Yeah, thank you all. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I think there's a little bit of a lag between the YouTube feed and the audio. But my name's James Butera. I'm with LSL LLP. My role with the city is I'm the partner on the annual audit. So I oversee all the deliverables in the annual audit and help facilitate the issuance of your audit report and the financial statement. So what we're going to do tonight is, we'll keep it brief, but just kind of go over the results of the fiscal year 2025 audit, touch on some of the reports that are included in that financial statement packet, and then, answer any questions that may come up. So excited to be here. I think this is about the third year that I've had the opportunity to present to you all. And just before we get going, just wanted to, thank Happy and Brad and their team to, kind of help facilitate the audit this year. I know there was a lot of transition with different personnel and different roles and responsibilities, and we're happy to report that, despite all that, we were able to have all the reports issued by the federal required deadlines and have everything certified on time. So that was a great feat. So as we get going here on the first slide, just kind of touching on some of the responsibilities of management that are set out by the GASB, which is the Government Accounting Standards Board. So the management's responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with U.S. GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. So even though our firm assists with sort of preparing and compiling those statements, management, which is anyone overseeing the financial department, is responsible for reviewing and ultimately taking responsibility for those statements. Management is responsible for designing and implementing internal controls over the financial reporting. So any checks and balances within transaction cycles, whether it be review of invoices or purchase orders, things of that nature. They have to evaluate whether there are any conditions that we call going concern or a doubt of any sort of financial liability 12 months within the audit report date. And then if there's any sort of federal or other state requirements from a grant compliance perspective, management is responsible for adhering and implementing those requirements. The next slide touches on what our responsibilities are that are outlined again by the GASB. So we have to conduct our annual audit in accordance with a few different standards. So we have generally accepted auditing standards, and this coincides with that first report in the financial statements, the audit opinion letter. We have a government auditing standards, which surrounds internal control and different compliance requirements that we have to review. And then we also, if the city spends over $750,000 of federal funded money, we have to do a single audit in accordance with the uniform guidance submitted to the Treasury, which looks at different compliance requirements that the federal government sets out depending on the source of the funding. That threshold for fiscal year 26 and beyond has been increased to $1 million. So if there's less than $1 million spent, the city will not be subject to that additional audit. We have to exercise professional judgment, professional skepticism. So, even though this is my third year presenting to the council, every year we have to approach with fresh eyes We rotate all of our staff who look at all the numbers, so there's always, new bodies and new eyes looking at the city's numbers and trial balance figures. We have to conduct a risk-based approach to our audit, so we will evaluate the internal controls, which kind of goes with that next bullet, where we have to understand the controls that are in place. We perform certain walkthroughs over transactions to kind of make sure that those reviews and approvals are in place. And we have to tailor our procedures accordingly. We have to evaluate any significant accounting estimates. So for the city, those really surround the OPEB and pension, actuarial liabilities and assumptions. And if we also have to evaluate any sort of going concern issues as well. So the next slide kind of touches on the statements themselves. So in that financial statement, the financial section of the audit and the report that we issue, it's kind of the nuts and bolts of the data. It presents detailed statements with the balance sheet income statement. It has a set of footnotes that outlines different significant accounting policies, certain transactions, any sort of capital assets or long-term liabilities. It shows any sort of cash flow statements for enterprise funds. It also has a required supplementary information section, and these are required by the GASB. So any general fund or major special revenue fund has to have a budgetary comparison schedule that shows, how the actual results did in comparison to the adopted, the amended budget. And then the pension and OPEB has required schedules we have to also prepare outlining the pension and OPEB activity for the year. And then we also have a supplementary information section, so all the non-major funds that are combined on the statements in the aggregate column. In the back of the financial statements, it shows all of those individual non-major funds and those activities itemized and shows how that total rolls up to the main schedules. So next slide, we'll just touch on the results for fiscal year 25. So this is for the year ended June 30, 2025. And the unmodified auditor's opinion goes hand in hand with the generally accepted auditing standards that we touched on earlier. That's that first report in the financial statements. And unmodified basically means unqualified, clean opinion. It's the highest level that the city can get. So that outlines to the readers of your financial statements that, they can rely upon the data. There are no material misstatements included in any of the numbers. The report on internal controls and compliance goes with the government auditing standards, and that outlines internal control and compliance that the city has. If there's any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies or non-compliance with grants or other regulations, it would show up in that report. For fiscal year 25, we had no findings, we had no issues, no material audit adjustments noted to the original trial balance provided to us by the finance department. One thing for 2025 was a new GASB requirement called GASB 101, and this surrounded compensated absences and how the city has to measure some of the sick and vacation leave. There were some new estimates that the city had to do. Based on the changes with the new laws, there was no material impact to the statements the way that the city was already accounting for it. So there was no restatements of any sort of equity or fund balance noted for this year. Estimates are reasonable, so we evaluate the pension and OPEB actuarial assumptions. All that came back okay. And then the letter that is another required communication we have to deliver internally to City Council or any other audit committee that may be present outlines difficulties or misstatements or disagreements, fraud, waste, and abuse. We're happy to report that there were no instances that we encountered for 2025 that was required to be disclosed. So overall, really successful year. The city did a great job navigating some of the transitions from a personnel standpoint, and we're happy to report a clean audit for this year. Next slide, we'll touch on the single audit. So For fiscal year 2025, the city closed out the American Rescue Plan Act funding. That has to be formally spent by the end of this year from a federal standpoint. So the city was subject to a single audit, so there are some certain federal requirements surrounding that money that the city has to adhere to, certain reports they have to file, and other stipulations that are kind of included on how to use that money. We were happy to report another unmodified opinion there. There were no issues noted, no internal control findings, no non-compliance findings, and that is in a separate report included on the schedule of expenditures of federal awards. So the last slide here just kind of looks at some of the big kind of picture financial metrics and benchmarks that are kind of best practices for governmental entities. So we kind of look at the current ratio and the quick ratio, which is going to be your current assets in comparison to your current liabilities. And your quick ratio is your quick assets, so cash and short-term receivables, short-term investments compared to your liabilities. As you can see on that slide, the city's ratios are well above industry benchmarks. Liabilities to overall equity was also within the parameters that we would hope to see. Unrestricted equity, so this is excess fund balance that is not subject to restrictions or assignments, was also within overall expenses. And then the unrestricted equity compared to next year's budgeted expenses for fiscal year 26 was also within the parameters that we looked for. So just to kind of also wrap up the significant account activities, so this goes hand in hand with your government-wide statements. So there's kind of two sets of reports that are included in your financial statements. This measures a long-term activity, so capital assets, long-term liabilities. Overall, the change in that position increased by about $2.9 million. Capital assets for the city increased about $5.5 million, kind of more due to just capital project activity, things that were ongoing as of 6/30/2025 that will be completed and put into service in the future. Long-term liabilities decreased by about $500,000, which was mainly a function of just annual principal payments. Pension liability decreased by about $200,000 as a result of just actuarial changes and assumptions. And then going with that RSI, the required supplementary information, the general fund revenue to budget comparison had a $470,000 positive variance. So the actual revenues came in excess of budgeted activity there. And then from an expenditure standpoint, there was $295,000 positive variance there, where the expenditures for the year in the general fund came in below the budget. So no issues to report from budgetary comparison, no issues to report from a benchmark comparison, and overall it was a clean and successful year. So with federal requirements, the deadline to submit the reports is March 31st of the next year, and we were able to submit that before that deadline. I'm happy to answer any questions that council or anyone else may have.
Thank you. Council, any questions? 7:29, I will go out for public comment. Is there anyone on the phone? Bring it back to the chamber, 7:29. Anyone in the chamber? Questions, comments? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 7:29. Thank you. That was a great presentation. A lot of interesting reading. I have no specific questions. Just one item that I would like the city manager to expand a little bit on, and finding out that we do have, so there's a program, first-time home buyer program, down payment assistance that has been in place for quite some time, but I wasn't sure how it worked, and I just learned that in the process and asking questions, that is a program that is still alive, and but I'll let the city manager expand a little bit on it, because I think it's important for our residents to be aware as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. So back in 2012, I believe, we basically started the CDBG program, competitive bid. We did competitive, rather than applying through the county, we went directly to CDBG, and we actually started this first-time home buyer program. And so a lot of folks in this community have benefited from this program. It's a down payment assistance, and you have to qualify for the program. And basically, as the residents pay, there's a portion that's a forgiven, but then there's also a certain amount. People refinance, money gets paid back, and so it's kind of like a revolving loan fund. So the city continues to put that money out, and if people are interested in knowing more about the program itself, we're happy to provide you information at City Hall. And so again, there is certain restrictions as it relates to the program income, and the program income is, again, the money that went out and that we received back, and so we can, there's some parameters in terms of how we can use that money. But we're always looking at new programs and whether or not we can use the funds to address other needs in the community. If I'm not mistaken, we have, Happy, do you remember what the dollar amount that we currently have in, I don't want to speak,
800?
yeah, our fund balance that we have in that program? Yeah, that's right. It's about $500,000, yeah. So again, if you're interested in the program, please let us know. One of the other programs that we've been looking at is to go after, small business loans, micro loans. Again, it comes to us as a grant, and then we basically put it out to the businesses, and then we come up with a certain interest rate, and we put it out. And so those are programs that, we're constantly looking for. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Council, any other questions, comments? Just one last item, and then maybe, I'm not sure who can share a little bit more of a background. On page 31, the last part of that page speaks about it. There's some graphs to the advances, interfund, receivable, payable, and transfers. At the bottom on page 31, page 31 of the item, on page 59 of the agenda, it mentions the general fund transfer $470,007 to the non-major governmental funds for council budgetary adopted funding, and the revenue stabilization fund transferred $2,104,971 to the water fund for American Rescue Plan Act infrastructure projects. I'm not sure if this is something that who can provide a little bit more context to this in regards to those two different transfers. And page 59 of the agenda.
Yeah, so from an audit perspective, that revenue stabilization fund was where the ARPA money was held. Back during COVID, municipalities received a couple tranches of money, and it was all received in advance. So the cash was received, and a coinciding unearned liability was set up that is held and tracked as that money is spent. So there were different stipulations about what that money could be used for. Also, depending on how much was received by a municipality, some could do a general revenue loss. The majority used it for different infrastructure projects. So the vast majority of that transfer to the Revenue Stabilization Fund had to do with that ARPA money being spent during fiscal year 2025. And then for the general fund, the city will adopt different transfers in the adopted budget on a given year to fund. It could be miscellaneous projects. The general fund could also fund different administrative charges, maybe that are picked up by other funds. So in that instance, it was fiscal year 2025 adopted budget items that were transferred from the general fund to the various non-major governmental funds for different administrative costs that the general fund helps subsidize.
Thank you. And then, if anyone can expand a little bit from the city in regards to, because it talks about, it mentions the American Rescue Plan Act, and I think all of us know up here, but I think it's, if we can expand to people watching at home and to the residents, especially the 2,100,000, and if, I think it was a little bit, I'm not sure if you were already here or that was before your time.
Yeah, but I am
go ahead.
aware of it, though. Yes, this was after my departure. So it is my understanding that the council at the time decided to use this money. Staff was recommended we use this money for infrastructure. So there's a number of CIP items, capital improvement program items that we wanted to address. But of course, there was a lot of dynamics back then because of COVID and so forth. So it is my understanding that council redirected this money and used it towards, so that the rates that were in place at the time wouldn't elevate, would basically stay the same. So the money was used for that purpose to cushion the rates.
Just one thing that I might want to add. So yes, those were used to keep the rates low without having to increase the rates at that time. But then those funds, once those funds were expended, then, once those funds are used and gone, then we have to look at rates to kind of catch up with what the costs are of having the services being provided. So just a little, this is just like a little refresher of how, even though this was done within this last cycle, but can anybody expand on probably explain in simpler words or just add a little bit more context to the general fund transfer or 470? I knew you were waiting for that. Thank you, Happy.
You're welcome. So the 470 was taken out of the general fund to subsidize the recreation department and the community development department. So since those two departments are not self-sustainable, this general fund has to basically pick up the cost for the deficit of those two funds.
Okay, and then, so that was primarily because it wasn't budgeted at that time?
No,
No,
during
it's
the year, as you, like, for instance, a little later on, the planning department is going to become, some things pop up, and so we have to look at new funding to appropriate. So then, because of that, we have to pull from other sources.
So basically, the expenses exceeded our revenue for this fiscal year. So to balance the budget, we needed another source to basically make up the difference.
Got it, thank you. All right, I don't have nothing else on this item. Council, anything else? All right, no more questions, I guess. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you. All right, next we have County Supervisors announcements and reports. Mr. Supervisor Jim Pacheco.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just a couple things. So actually last Thursday, the 16th, was one of our busier days as Board of Supervisors. First we had the...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
All right. Anyway, last Thursday we had a busy day. We had our Dispatcher of the Year luncheon to start off with. I want to congratulate all the recipients, including our dispatcher for the Livingston Police Department, Melissa Alonso, who was Dispatcher of the Year. It was an honor to be able to give everybody those certificates. That's a tough job, and I'm glad that they got recognized. We had our MCAG meeting. We had the State of the College at Merced College. It's kind of exciting to see all the great things that are going on out there. If you haven't had a chance to go out to the campus, I'd encourage you to go out there. They've got some really new buildings and a lot of good programs out there. It's very exciting for students that want to go to a four-year college and go through Merced College. I think we have a hidden gem there in Merced. And then we had the ribbon cutting for Bob Hart Square in the city of Merced. It's a beautiful space out there. I encourage you to go out and take a look at that, and just want to congratulate the city of Merced for getting that project completed. We had our board meeting today. Kind of a short meeting, but one of the big things that came out of it, the Spring Fair in Los Banos is going to be April 30th through the 3rd. And they just announced that they're going to get a sponsorship from Valley Children's Hospital. So what this means is that for the entire length of the fair, all children 12 and under will be able to get in free. So yeah, if your kids have a family, you go and you just pay for yourself, and then the kids can all come in free. So that's kind of exciting for the spring fair. So again, I encourage people to go out and take advantage of the fair. Hopefully have some better weather. We've had this rain coming up, kind of making gloomy. In fact, I was looking on Facebook, looked there was some tornadoes that actually hit in Atwater and Winton. So yeah, hopefully we get past all that weather and have a nice time there. And the only thing the other thing that's coming up right now is so the district attorney does an annual victims' rights ceremony, kind of honors the victims and survivors of violent crime in Merced. It's going to be on the 23rd at 12 o'clock at Courthouse Park. So again, encourage everybody to come out and support the families of victims of crime. They have a really good victim advocate unit there, and so they just kind of highlight what they do. And that's all I have. Our next board meeting will be on May 12th. So unless anybody has anything else for me.
Yeah, Supervisor Pacheco, thank you very much. First of all, we want to thank Mr. Hendrickson for responding to our communications as it relates to the next tax sharing ad hoc committee meeting.
Yes.
Mrs. Cisneros is going to work with Councilmember Roth and Samra to identify their availability so that we can put on calendar the next meeting.
Yep, looking forward to working with the city.
Yeah, and just so like you helped us with the MCAG Measure V, we hope that we have the equal support as well.
Again, yes, looking forward to working with everybody. Make
Thank
sure
you.
we're all successful in it, so. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have announcements and reports, city staff announcements and reports.
Yeah, we have engineering that has a little presentation. If we can get the lights and get thank you, Monica. Yeah, recreation will come after engineering.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. This will be a brief presentation on some of the ongoing projects that we have for the city. There you go. So we have a couple of the well projects here. Well 8A. Well 8A is basically done and just waiting for TASCO. That's the controls sub to actually start up the well, and that's scheduled for late this month, so the well should be online early May, maybe even late April. It's been basically done for a while.
Wait a minute, you said it'll be in production?
Yes,
Oh, good, thank you.
yes. The other one we have here is well 18. It's this one here. There's also a picture of the test well for that site, and that's at Lucero Park. That well will be going out to bid in May, where the city is still working with MID to provide power. It's a lot faster than PG&E, so that that would be a good thing for this one. And raw water from this well will be routed to the well 8A treatment site, so that'll be part of this project also. And I can take some questions as we go along, if you wish, on some of these, or...
Mr. Mayor, quick question on well 8A. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for the first year of the well being operational, we are going to be doing testing for arsenic, correct? That the state's gonna wanna see?
Yeah, the first year, we can actually blend 8 and 8A together. And, yeah, you can operate for a year with arsenic because the system will be blended, so it will be well within the MCL, the maximum contaminant levels. So yes, that's pretty much correct.
So that's a very good point, Mr. Upo. That's one of the reasons why the city moved in the direction of having centralized treatment, because there was two issues. One, when you have a wellhead treatment and you just don't happen to have let's say that the well never had arsenic, and suddenly, arsenic, which is something natural that's in the ground, makes its way, then, and you don't have another well to blend it so that you can bring the MCL down level, then you basically can't use that well. So now that you have these, centralized treatment and you connect several wells together, it has that extra benefit of blending.
And also, just to add, we are working closely with the Department of Drinking Water from the state as far as getting the well permitted and online properly.
Thank you.
Yes, and this will actually dovetail with the next slide here. Let me see if we can get to it. There you go. Which is what we call the $27 million grant one, which is 2 sites for TCP treatment. So the well 18 raw water will go to the well 8A site. And in addition to the TCP treatment, there will be arsenic treatment also at that site. So it's gotten pretty close now. The city is actually in the process of executing funding agreements with the state. So once that's done, it'll be just a few months, and they'll be out to bid.
What is the expectation time? I know it's
For completion, once it gets going?
well, yes, but by the time we get finalize the agreements with the state.
Yeah, it'll be maybe 3 months until it goes out to bid.
Okay.
And then it'll have to be awarded, and when you start, these are taking a long time. I know the vessels are being fabricated now. A lot of this stuff is being done ahead of time to shorten that timeline, but it'll take probably a couple of years. Yeah. So this one project is at the 2 sites. So we have the well 8A site, which will treat the well 18, well 12, and well 9 and well 8A. So it's 3 wells on that one site, and the site will have also a water tank and a booster pump. They all have booster pumps. So that's at the well 8A site. The other site is the Arcalian Park, and that will treat 12, 13, and 17, and it will also have a water tank and a booster pump station. Yeah. So they're pretty similar.
And I notice on the bottom of the slide, we're looking at this would be with the 27 million.
Yeah, both of these is the 27 million.
27.
Yeah.
Okay. And are we hoping that costs don't go up too much?
Well, we always hope for that, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Historically, recently, as these projects are bid, if they are over budget, the state has been pretty decent at augmenting the budgets. But all these things are very dynamic, and they change all the time. Yeah. we're okay with the water ones. Noah will talk a little bit about traffic projects.
Yes, as Mario said, we wanted to discuss a couple of the traffic projects here that we're working on. We've been working closely with Public Works, and the two projects here that we want to discuss are the Dwight and Walnut striping changes, and then the Hammett and Campbell left turn lanes. So these two projects have been presented to the Traffic Committee, and as a next step, we are bringing them forth tonight to inform the council and receive any feedback that you may have. So starting with the Dwight striping changes, as you all know, Dwight was recently improved with new sidewalk and pavement widening and striping as part of the Max Foster Trails project. And what we've been observing is that folks are incorrectly using the suicide lane here to turn onto Walnut, and we wanted to make it more clear as far as what can be done as far as turning movement. So what we're proposing is basically striping here no man zone, dead zone, so that way it cannot be used. And then we'll add additional arrows so people are clearly aware of where they need to be for be able to make the turns or to continue moving forward. All in all this, what this project is just basically changing the striping, and it will be done by Public Works, if I'm not mistaken.
Is able to do it, yes. And we should note that really the main, let me pour the laser. Really, what triggered this is that, of course, that one lane here is not a turn lane, but it is in conflict with the lane coming from the north side here on Hammett. So if you are here, you're facing basically half of a traffic lane here. So that's a dangerous situation. So to curb that, we're proposing what Noe mentioned. And folks coming out of I think it's a child care place there, can also turn here, go in this lane, and then go in this one and go on to Walnut.
Do you think that'll be sufficient to prevent that people continue to use that section of the middle lane? Or what I seen that really worked, because when I'm thinking about what was happening in Arco, people were turning in left and right, and they were not,
Yes.
it was the same thing, they were not really using the middle lane correctly.
Correct.
But once we installed those,
Delineators.
yes, that worked out perfect, and why not
You could
consider that here?
Yeah, you could. We can try this so how it goes, and then if people still are using that area there that's not supposed to be used, then we can consider doing some of those delineators.
Mr. Mayor, quick question on cost for either of those two options. Do we have like ballpark estimates?
For
The striping and the
itself?
delineators, yeah.
The striping will be, if it's done by Public Works, will be a few $1,000 off. I don't know.
Just paying for the paint at that point, right?
Yeah, it's basically the paint and applying it and that arrow. So it should be just a couple grand, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, something like that. Yeah, it's very, very low cost.
And the delineators?
I don't know how much those cost. Do you know how much those cost?
I want to say that delineators are $200 to $300 a piece.
So it's not too expensive either
They're
way?
not very
Okay,
expensive.
thank you.
All right, so moving to the next project here, Campbell and Hammett. So, as we all know, ARCO was completed about a couple of years ago, and as we all know, there's been concerns with people turning and not turning out of the store, out of the gas station, and what we've been working on is, as far as addressing some of those concerns, is as part of the traffic signal project that we're currently preparing, as far as the design and the plans. We saw the opportunity here to go ahead and, as part of this project, install a raised concrete median here that would serve as basically as a barrier for folks wanting to incorrectly turn in and out of this entrance. So this would be what we're calling a long-term solution, and like I said, it would be done as part of the traffic signal project that we're working on for the intersection. As you all know, the intersection here for the traffic signal, the corners, what we call the returns, they're going to be built at their ultimate location. So that's what you're seeing here as far as the plan, the drawing. Now, we also are, and again, this was presented to the traffic committee. And what we're also considering is an interim, a temporary solution for some of the concerns. There you go. So this is what we're calling a temporary solution or interim solution, and it's basically, again, just like the Dwight and Walnut project, is adjusting the striping. So, and this is work that Public Works can do as well. And what we're looking at is basically improving the striping design that was provided here by the ARCO engineer. When staff was reviewing the ARCO project, the directive that was given to them was that they could not do left turn movements here out of this main entrance because of the proximity of the main intersection. That we were concerned that there were going to be conflicts with folks wanting to turn and folks wanting to come in. So, but they were directed to work on the left turn onto the other driveway. Correct. That's a key point. Yeah. So that's basically the origin of the delineators here, which at that point, again, was a temporary solution to the permanent solution that we're now considering as part of the traffic signal project, being the raised concrete median. So with this interim improvements, basically, we would be breaking off the current double yellow line that is here, so we can allow folks to enter into this suicide or double left turn lane, so they're able to properly go into the store. And then we would add additional striping here to properly designate this as a dual left turn lane or suicide lane, like we normally call it. We would also adjust the striping here, the fog line, the white line, we would shorten it so that way it would be clear that folks can go ahead and make the turns here out of this entrance. The delineators here would remain as part of this interim solution, so that way we can control or restrict traffic coming in and out of the main entrance here. So, like I said, this is work that Public Works can do, and I believe they're ready to move on that unless there's objections.
Quick question. So this changes and/or improvements, are they being done by ARCO or by the city?
By the city.
And then you mentioned permanent, eventually having a permanent divider. Will that section before they turn, so coming from Campbell, I'm sorry, coming from Hammett, turning left onto Campbell to turn into the Arco down here,
Yeah, so
that will be for both cars and big trucks?
yes. So the raised median, I'll see if I don't shake too much here. It'll be here, like this. So that's on the final design. So we'll have, so that way you can just drive over it. But you'll still be able to turn onto Arco with the left turn if you go like this and then turn here. And that was actually, and I know Noe did this with the engineer for those folks, and it just it just didn't provide some of the studies that you had asked, I think. So that's how it ended up the way it is.
Correct.
But having a left turn there makes a lot of sense.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Sorry, would like to confirm, just to get this on record, because there's a handful of truckers that have been complaining about this for a couple months, as I'm sure you know. So we are planning right now to adjust the striping on Campbell that would allow for a left turn into Arco from Campbell. Eventually, we will have a raised concrete median to very clearly distinguish the lanes, but still allow for a left turn.
Onto this driveway, not this one.
Yes, the one that's further.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
furthest to the west.
Yeah,
This
that's
one.
perfect.
Let me go back to that other. So it's hard to see, but the median is here, the raised median is here, and the driveway, I can even see, I think
right there, right
it's
there.
here somewhere.
Yep, you're pointing to it.
Yeah. So the other driveway is actually outside of this,
The picture.
yeah, it's like over here somewhere.
Can you go back to the other slide?
That one?
Yes.
Okay.
So eventually, once there's hopefully a project that is being worked on across the street from Campbell to the north, would the proper consideration would be to enlarge or widen that Campbell, right? I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Correct.
To
Yes.
provide
Yes.
for,
We call it the Yagi property over
yeah,
there?
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, the Jaggy property would mirror what Arco did on their side as far as the road, the
Okay.
lane configurations.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping for that in the near future.
Yeah. Right.
Until a project comes on board from them. Got
Yeah,
it.
we'll say that this property develops here, there's going to be a need also to turn from Campbell onto that property with a left turn. So it's basically the opposite of what we have now.
Are we having any issues with big trucks turning right, coming east, like from Main Street onto Campbell, turning right onto the gas station at all?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay.
Yeah. And they have two choices. They can turn here or here.
Mr. Mayor.
I suspect they did go here because it's a wider driveway.
Yes, go ahead.
Quick question. Timetable for both striping projects? Do we have an expectation of when these will get striped?
That would be something that will need to be coordinated with Public Works, and I know Anthony's not here.
I know that's the first question I'm going to get as soon as I tell those folks that left turn is like when. So okay.
Right, that's a good question, that's, right. It should be ASAP, whatever ASAP means, but.
I'll follow up in a few days when you guys get a chance to coordinate. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll follow it up with Public Works too. 'Cause they're fully aware of it, so I think it's just a matter of running it by the council, getting some feedback, and then just implementing these. Oh, sorry, that's it. Oh, no, there's one more. Left this poor little guy there. Okay, sorry.
So this is a pavement project that we're currently working on, basically to rehabilitate the pavement on Main Street, and we would be going from, I believe this is I Street, Mario. I can't.
From D to I.
Yeah, from D to I Street, D Street, and as you can see there, we're slated to have this project completed in this late summer of this year. And that's all we had.
I think that we'll take any questions if you have any more.
Council, any questions? I'll go out for public comment real quick. 8:06, anyone on the phone have any questions or comments in regards to this item? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber. Any questions or comments in the chamber? Seeing none coming forward, closing citizen comments at 8:06. Council, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Recreation.
Next, we have recreation.
I just have a very quick announcement. I always like to make announcements when it involves money. So on April 30th, California Consulting will be a part of our Special Recreation Commission meeting. And we will be getting community input on 2 different grants that we are working towards. I think one of them we've already actually applied for, and the other's the Extreme Heat Grant. And yeah, they all go towards continuing to fund the Recplex. So, and with that, and then tomorrow night, swim team will be having a roundtable in this room to all parents interested in finding out more about how their kids can be involved in the swim team.
Council, any questions? I do have a question. Council, any questions? All right. Actually, well, I was going to ask, is there anything you want to share? And I'm not sure if you're ready to share about any future projects to fundraise money for the Recplex locally? No?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
All right. Just,
We are going to be, one of the council members, Councilmember Wallace donated a painting, and we will be having a silent auction at the city-county dinner to raise funds for the Recplex with that painting.
perfect. Bring your checks.
We now take credit cards. I'll have our new program there for
All
credit.
right, okay, good. All right, thank you, Jackie. Any other city staff announcements or reports? No, all right. Next, we have city manager announcements and reports.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council and public, a few things. Number one, I first want to thank, PD and our fire department. Unfortunately, we've had, a few shootings here in town, and it's a really sad situation. And because of that, we, my staff and I, we reached out to our different partners, the county, the school districts, the pastors, others, and, to see how we might be able to, address, these issues. We can always do a lot more, so it's good that we, reflect, look at this, look at short-term, long-term opportunities to work closer and try to address some of these issues. So we are going to have a meeting here in the council chambers at 10 o'clock on May 4th. Anybody is welcome to attend. And again, different stakeholders will be meeting, and we're going to be talking about mental health, gang prevention, recreational opportunities, more recreational opportunities, enhancing other youth activities, explorers, et cetera. So everybody's welcome. That's number one. Number two, I just wanted to announce it's semi-official. So we've been working on trying to get another bank here in the community. And finally, F&M Bank was able to purchase a building here in downtown. And so once escrow closes on that facility, they'll submit their tentative improvements, and we'll have 2 banks. And so that's going to be really, really great for our community. And then lastly, we've been working closely with Leslie, formerly, Livingston Community Clinic. That former building where they were at, well, they're going to start to do some renovations in there, and so we're looking to see how some of our CBOs, local CBOs can actually, lease some space in there, maybe for free, who knows? We've been working with Community Vision, which actually helped, finance and do new market tax credits for a lot of the facilities that Livingston Community Health has been building over the years. That is probably an 8,000 square foot building. There's 2 stories, if you didn't know. So there's a lot of space. So we're working with Patricia Zamora and others, again, to see how that space can be used creatively for a lot of different purposes. So that is all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a quick comment. It is exciting to see the F&M Bank is moving into town. I know when there was last discussion in the city about where the city is holding its money, like which bank are we holding our money with, there was a lot of frustration from residents that we're holding money in F&M, but they don't have a place here in town. So I think a lot of people are going to be happy about that, to see them come in.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, if you recall, the last time you renewed the contract with the F&M, that was my number one complaint against it, that we're doing business with somebody that want to do business with us. So it's good to see that moving forward. Thank you.
Anything else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just a quick question, this city manager. So that old clinic, do they own that, or is that done on a grant? I had a community member ask me about that.
It's my understanding that the building belongs to them. Yes,
Okay, thank you.
it's- Yeah.
Anything else? All right, thank you. Next, we have conflict of interest declaration. Members of the city council will declare an actual or apparent conflict of interest before discussions or decisions about any matters in which they or anyone else or anyone with whom they have a close personal relationship could directly or indirectly benefit, or where such a benefit could be perceived. Council, are there any conflict of interest declarations? Seeing none, we're moving forward. Next, we have the consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is requested by a member of the public, the city manager, or city council member. There will be no separate discussions on these items unless members of the public, city council, city manager request that specific items be removed. Public comment on consent agenda items shall be limited to 3 minutes per person, regardless of the number of items contained within the consent agenda. Council, any questions on any? We have items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, and 11. I just have one question on item 7. And I think, let's see, RC's here. So this is item approved resolution this is the one for the NeoGov. So the request for this item is for 1 year. I'm sorry, 6. Yeah, did I say 11? 7, okay, it's 6. On page 138 of the agenda, so the request is to extend the contract for 1 more year, right? But in the past, our last contract was for 2 years. Why not go 2 years? I don't, maybe, I'm just wondering if there are other plans that we don't know about or any?
No, Mayor, there is no other plans other than this was just the more, I guess, affordable option to look at right now instead of the 2-year.
Okay. All right, I'm just trying to save you more work and coming back in a year again and, asking for another, but I'll do whatever you want. You're the
Well,
expert.
I appreciate if council considers the 1 year and maybe next year. There's other offerings that NeoGov has to offer, such as performance management system, and maybe we're still working on fiscal year's budget 26-27, and hopefully that's another item that we'd like to bring forward in the future and maybe get a price break.
Okay, sounds perfect. I just wanted it to check on that, and not make you do any more extra work. All right.
Thank you.
That was my only question. Other than that, is there anything? If not, I will entertain a motion. Not yet. I haven't gone out yet for consent. So at 8:06, following the recommendation from Mayor Pro Tem, 8:16, I'll go out for public comment on this consent agenda items. Is there anyone on the phone? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber. Is there any comments or questions on any of the items on consent? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 8:16. At this time, I will entertain a motion for the consent agenda items.
Motion to approve the consent?
Motion to approve by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Roth. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Councilmember Roth,
Yes.
Councilmember Paul,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Semra,
Yes.
Mayor Moran.
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
All right. And so if I remember correctly, Mr. Paul, you were asking to bring 13 and 14, right, at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So next we have just remind me to go back, okay, because otherwise I'll forget. Next we have discussion and potential action items. Item number 13, consideration of adopting a resolution appointing Tarika Smith to the city council, to the city. Let me go back. to the City of Livingston Parks and Recreation and Arts Commission as an alternate member for the term of April 21st, 2026 through January 31, 2030.
Good evening, gentlemen. Before you, I'm sure have already read my staff report, and I'm excitingly bringing Tarika Smith application before you. And we just last month, you guys appointed 4, so we've got our regular members were complete. And I actually received a phone call from Tarika, and she wanted to know how to go about applying to be in one of the alternates. As you can see, Tarika is a really active member of our community and actually countywide as well. And so I have got her up here with me. If you guys have any questions regarding her application or any other questions, we have her here. Otherwise, I'm excited for you guys to come and whatever it is that you choose to do, we'll get moving. So, Tarika.
Council, any questions at this time? If you want to say a few words, a little bit about yourself. I mean, I know that we read your application. Maybe expand a little bit on the other things that you do in the community and in the county.
Yeah, it would be my pleasure. My name is Tarika Smith, for those of you who don't know me. I am the program manager for a local organization called Food Para Todos. And we recently brought one of our food pantries here to the community of Livingston, California. And we are now distributing food here on the 4th Saturday of every month, mainly down at Memorial Park. We will be there actually this Saturday. I'd like to invite you all out if you would like to come. We'll be distributing well over 2,000 pounds of food. But we do this free for the local communities in accordance with SB 1383, helping local organizations stay compliant. So it's my pleasure to do this to provide a service to our local community by helping people stay compliant and giving food back to those who need it most. So Food para Todos means food for all. We want to break the stigma of food being only available to those who may be unhoused. It is for all individuals throughout the community, and we want to make that available in all local areas.
Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Council, any questions at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
really quick, can you give me a time reminder for Saturday's event?
My pleasure. It's going to be at 2 o'clock. If you would like to volunteer, we're asking everyone to come out at 1 to help us set up. The food usually does go pretty fast, so if you know anyone who will be coming out to receive food, please ask them to bring some bags with them. We also ask that if anybody would like to volunteer their time to help us translate, that is a huge help. We usually do get members from the community who will help us, but if we had someone who is designated, that'd be amazing.
Thank you. So at this time, I will go out for public comment at 8:21. Is there any questions or comments on the phone regards to this item? Hearing none, coming back to the chamber. Any citizen comments in the chamber? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at 8:21, bringing it back to the dais. And I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem, who... All right, second by Mayor Pro Tem, who always forgets to turn on the phone, the mic. Roll call, please.
Roll call, Councilmember Roth,
Yes.
Councilmember Paul,
Thank you for stepping up. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samar,
Welcome aboard, yes.
Mayor Moran.
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Well, congratulations. and
Thank you. It'll be my pleasure to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so don't go too far. Next, no, it's okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Next, we have item number 14. Mayor Moran will administer the oath of office to appointed alternate Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commissioner. All right, thank you. Congratulations again. If you can step up here, facing me. All right. Say hi to everybody at home. All right, so if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Tarika Smith, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission of the City of Livingston, County of Merced, State of California, according to the best of my ability. Congratulations. Thank you.
He doesn't let one go. Congrats.
All right, next we have public hearing, item number 12, consideration of adopting a resolution to approve a 12-month extension for conditional use permit number 2019-03 and site plan and design review application 2019-04, the Villages at Main residential apartment community on property generally located on the east side of Main Street, south of Peach, APN number 047-280-020 and 047-280-029. Miguel?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, members of the audience. Miguel Galvez, Contract City Planner. As you mentioned, this is a request for a time extension. This is for an application, development of property that's located on the east side of Main Street, south of Peach Avenue. It's located where the star is here on this zoning map. Here's an aerial of the property. There's a canal that traverses the property. It wraps around an existing property. The proposal of the applicant, which was approved in 2001, is to develop 480-unit apartment project. There, it's called the Villages at Main Street. Typically, once the property is approved or they receive the land use entitlement, they have 24 months to pull a building permit. In the meantime, the applicant has been dealing with the Merced Irrigation District to address the canal here, as you can see, and that has caused delays for the project. The applicant in 2023, he faced an expiration of the permits, and so he asked for a 12-month time extension. As with any type of extension, we always want to make sure that the applicant is actually making efforts to bring the project to fruition. He and MID provided information in 2023 that they were making progress on that, and so staff was able to do an administrative 12-month extension. After that, they asked for an additional time. This was considered by the City Council a little over a year ago, and the council approved the 12-month extension. They were having issues with contracts and working with MID. Now, the time extension was through March of 2026. At this point, they are requesting an additional 12-month extension. And really, the issue here is, are they showing due diligence? Are they showing efforts that they're wanting to move forward with a project? And so we always ask them to document that. And so they've submitted documentation that the city has reviewed, and it does support that they're making efforts. Some of the issues when it comes into considering these applications is really, are they legitimately moving forward or not? Two is, with any type of housing, as you know, with the city's regional housing needs allocation, the city is always looking at facilitating the development of housing. Again, this is a 480-unit apartment project. It's market rate housing. It's not affordable housing like the ones on B Street. And there was a concern at one point about water service, and the city has reserved a commitment of water service. That service has, I don't want to say dried up, but it's no longer an issue. But these were some of the issues that have been at play. In speaking with the applicant and looking at the information, they've ordered pipes. They've paid for them. They've ordered them to the tune of about over $500,000. They've entered into agreements with MID for easements. They're having to realign the irrigation, so they're going to be digging a new line, but they also have to abandon the old or the existing irrigation line, and they can only do that during the winter months. They've already applied for encroachment permits, grading permits, so they're well underway, and so they're asking for a 12-month extension. Staff is supportive of it. If the City Council chooses not to grant a 12-month extension, if they want to move forward with the application, they would have to reapply and go back to the Plan Commission and come back to the City Council. And it would be reviewed and they can be considered at that time. So at this point, staff recommends that the council conduct the public hearing, and staff recommends that the council adopt the resolution approving a 12-month time extension for this conditional use permit site plan design review for the Villages at Main Street residential apartment project. That's it. I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you, Miguel. Council, any questions? I have a quick question, real quick. So, for those that don't know all of the history, and haven't had a chance to read the agenda, This was approved back in 2021. If I remember correctly, the part of the, I guess one of the reasons that they were asking to approve this at that time without any additional delays was because in 2021, the developer wanted it to start working on MID Canal that November, because normally MID by November, December, they're not running any water. And I don't remember if you were here at that time. Probably were you here back in 2021 when this?
I was not here in 2021.
You were not. Okay, so then, so part of the reason of why there was an urgency to approve this item at that time was because the developers wanted it to not waste any more time and get to underground the water canal in 2021. So the item was approved by majority, 4-1 at that time. And then nothing happened in 2021, nothing happened in 2022, nothing happened in 2023, and then it wasn't until roughly 2024 when there was some kind of movement, right, to try. And then there was an extension, if I remember, an extension provided. When was the first extension provided?
It was provided in 2023 by staff for a 12-month extension.
For 12 months, right?
Yes.
And then that brought it to 2024. And then in 2024, there was another extension that went up to March 2025. And then in March 2025, there was another extension that brought it over to March 18, 2026. Were they requesting for that extension prior to March 18, 2026, or did this happen after the last term expired?
They did not request the extension prior to that. They requested it afterwards, but it was staff's opinion that they had already demonstrated that they were moving forward with the project, and we wanted to make sure that that the city council would support or consider a time extension for this, and so we recommended, staff believes that you've documented progress on this, but, let's take it to city council and see if they're in concurrence with that determination. That's the reason it's before you this evening.
My understanding, based on the last extension that just recently expired, that was approved in 2025, was that they were asking initially, I think it was 18 months or 16 months, but then the recommendation from that planning commission, I think it was either 12 or 14 months, and then council approved it for 12 months, which would go beyond November, December, plenty of time for them to start working on undergrounding the water canal once MID was not running any more water. Do you know why they didn't do what they said they were going to do this last time around?
There was a couple of things that were going on. Again, there's two levels of efforts dealing with MID, actually three. One is to get an access easement, which they have that now. The second is they're going to install a new line. They have to drench, they have to locate a new alignment for a new irrigation. And they have to abandon the one that's existing. The third effort is they had to order some of the materials, which was the pipes, which was almost over $560,000. With them, it's always difficult to coordinate with MID because you're working on their time frame. And to make things a little more complicated, a little more complex, is the only time the applicant can look at undergrounding or realigning the flow of waters during the winter months when it's dry, if you will. The irrigation lines are not full with water. And so they have a small frame when they can actually construct, do the abandonment or redirecting of the irrigation line. So all this comes into play. One of the original considerations that they had last time was they had to go out for a bid for a contract, and that delayed them to be able to find a contractor that would be willing to do the work. And they were able to do that, and so now they were able to move forward. It's a little complex, but I still believe from a staff position that, they've shown due diligence, they've shown an investment of their funds to move this project forward. They've applied for the grading permits, the encroachment permits. They're just wanting to continue to move forward. If the council decides not to grant the extension, then they would have to reapply. I don't know if those contracts would expire that they have. I suspect they may, depending on how fast an application would be considered by the Planning Commission and City Council and then approved. But it's all up to the discretion of what the City Council wants to do this evening.
I'm surprised that not a representative from them is here tonight.
I spoke with their engineer, and I believe he's online. I don't know, Haran, is he there? No? Yeah, he's the engineer with GDR. He indicated to me that he's going to be available watching the meeting and calling in. Their contractor, Alex Aldrich, who's been, I'm just a contractor, I'm not the project engineer, and the actual property owner. No, is that you?
Engineering.
Is that you, Haran?
Hi, yeah, this is Aaron from GDR Engineering.
Okay, looks like the applicant's representative is online.
Hi.
Sorry, you'll have to pardon me. I'm with my child at the moment. I got a little late heads up on this meeting, but I wanted to try to be here.
I'm having a hard time hearing, but anyways, I'm not sure if you were able to hear some of the questions. Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear us?
Hi, can you? Yeah, I can hear you. Am I coming through okay?
Now you are, yes. I mentioned that if you had a chance, were you able to hear some of the questions?
Yeah, I was trying to listen to most of the questions that the mayor there was posing. Was there something specific that you wanted me to reply to, Miguel?
One of the questions that I was asking was, with all the different extensions and initially when this project was first approved back in 2021, there was an urgency to have it approved that in 2021 so that there was plenty of time to get to underground the water canal in November, December in 2021, but nothing happened. That didn't happen, and it was multiple extensions up to 2023, to 24, to 25, and now to 26.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think you recall that it was kind of a tumultuous time for us to get to work back and forth with MID and their engineers to even get to a set of approved plans that MID was comfortable with. I think we went through about 5 or 6 plan checks, if I recall.
And the last time, back in 2025, when it was approved by council, and then when it went through the planning commission, the request was, if I believe correctly, it was initially for 16 months, but it was approved for 12 months to allow enough time to go through the winter of 2025. But nothing happened in winter 2025 either, and now we are here with another request before us, and was to say that, if we keep on considering...
I think it'd be a stretch to say that nothing happened. First of all, I think you saw the facts laid out that I think our client spent north of $500,000 on pipe, and they paid a $250,000 deposit to a contractor. And I think our office has been working with Govea Engineering, who's the city's engineering consultant. I believe they've actively been working over the past couple of weeks on getting permits pulled.
Okay. Council, any other questions?
You'll have to pardon me because I know United Paving, the GC on the project, they've been the ones as the main point of contact here. GER is just kind of in the background usually, but I'm doing my best to recount what I've seen via email communications.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering because, you know, the city of Livingston has been working to going over and beyond the last 4 or 5 years, but I'm just wondering what has been kind of holding the project back, if it's the desire to do anything now or the desire to move or sell the project to somebody else. You know, just a lot of wonders.
No, I mean, that's fair. I think if the client wanted to sell it, they would have done so by now. They have no desire to sell it. They never have. They've looked for outside investment because it's become clear to them that it's a bigger project than, you know, they're comfortable with, that they've experienced in the past. But I know phasing has been discussed, and I know they're taking off every bite that they can along the way. You know, they're, like I said, they came up with the money for the pipe. They came up with the money to get the GC secured. They came up with the money to put bonds up with MID, and I see every effort that they're making. But you know, that's of my opinion as their consultant. You know.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I've got one question. So if granted this extension, when would you guys possibly be breaking ground and starting construction on these buildings? Or are you, at the end of the extension, are you guys going to come back and say, hey, I need another extension?
I sure hope not. I mean, I don't think our agreement with MID would even last that long, the one they've entered into. So they have to break ground sooner or later, and that pipe's already been ordered, so that would be a waste of $500,000. I really hope they wouldn't be willing to throw that much money away.
So is there a date of when construction will begin?
I don't know what United Paving put on the SWIP that they turned into the city. That'd probably be the best indicator. It was sometime this year, though. Noe from Govea, do you recall the dates that were discussed when those documents were sent over to you? If you're there.
Yes, he's here, and he's coming up to the mic right now.
Mayor, Council, Noe Martinez, Office of the City Engineer. What was the question exactly again?
No, I was asking if you recall the construction start dates that United Paving provided, because I know they turned in a SWIP, and they're working with the other consultant on an erosivity waiver or something, and I think they've been working with you on getting a grading permit or encroachment permit, correct?
Correct. And just to clarify, this is just for that canal, undergrounding only, not for buildings. And
correct.
As soon as they get their grading and encroachment permits, they should be able to proceed with that work as long as they're able, they're not in conflict with the MID irrigation requirements.
Right, and there's work to be done outside of MID's irrigation canal itself. You know, there's the new line's alignment isn't where the existing canal lies, so they could do that work prior to the canal being empty.
Okay. Council, any other questions? So at this time, I will go out for public comment in regards to this item, A44. Is there anyone on the phone with any questions or comments? Bringing it back to the chamber at A44, any questions or comments? Seeing none, closing the citizen comments at this time, A44, bringing it back to the dais. Council, are there any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. For me, I understand what you said about repeated extensions, and I don't have a problem giving a year of an extension, but I need to see some stronger benchmarks. If any other future extension is going to be, we need to see some grading done, some permits pulled. If we don't have that, then I think the next one there should be nothing there. I can understand not having the canal undergrounded, but there needs to be other commitments into it. Fees paid, you know, there needs to be pulled the permits and fees needs to be paid. That'll show a strong financial commitment and their commitment to the project. Thank you.
Miguel, so let's look at this scenario. Let's say that the extension is approved. What needs to be, just to clarify, and I think you already mentioned it, but what would be the next step in this project from the city's perspective?
Once a plan application is approved to keep the planning application active, they need to file for a permit. In this case, it can be a building permit, encroachment permit, or a grading permit. They have filed for a grading permit, encroachment permit. I don't think those permits have been issued yet. So as soon as they're issued, it adds life to the project. It keeps it alive. And I don't know how long those permits are good for, maybe 6 months or a year? 6 months. So they have 6 months to make progress. And let's just say, you know, they start construction, they apply for a building permit. As long as they have active permits, they don't have to come back and apply for an additional time extension. So really, it'll be dependent on the applicant to move forward. They either fish or cut bait. They either make progress on it or not. And so, no, he's absolutely right. They've applied for an encroachment permit, a grading permit for the realignment of the irrigation line, but I suspect there'll be additional similar permits for the construction of the units. And I don't know if Ryan can speak to when they're looking at construction of the units or any of those units.
So if there is a lifetime of 6 months for those permits, we're in April, 6 months from now, even if they're finalized in May, in 6 months will be November, but they still need November, December, January to be working on to underground the water canal. So do they need to come back and get additional permits? I mean, even if we do this permits, that won't give them enough time to get to underground, to even start working on the water canal, because probably in October, November, MID might still be running some water.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we're recommending a 12-month time extension, so they'll be able to have all this work done during this upcoming winter, and a year from now, they should be able to pull a building permit.
Okay. Council, any other questions, comments on this item?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Would like to get this on the record. Miguel, can you confirm that you've seen, I looked at the document, so I did request documentation showing proof of the bullet points expressed in the applicant's letter to the city of the contracts they signed, the orders, payments, et cetera. Can staff confirm that they have seen proof that the pipe was billed and paid for? It wouldn't load on my side, so I couldn't see the receipt.
No. Yes, I can do that. I actually have printouts here, and I can share them with the council.
Right.
It shows the receipt, shows the orders, shows the agreements. So they relayed documentation to staff, and you know, this is some information that I don't necessarily want to make public on our report, but I have it with me, and the council can look at some of the information they so choose. But yes, I can confirm that they have submitted the documentation that substantiates the work that they've shown.
Sure. Thank you for that. And I'll be fully transparent in saying that I'm not happy with the fact that the client isn't here tonight to answer those questions and have this conversation. Heron, I do appreciate that you're on the call to answer our questions for us on behalf of the client, but I think we all agree, there was a mention of benchmarks earlier, that we were expecting this to get done this past fall, which is what we were told the last time that we granted the extension for this project. I am curious for the engineer, so just looking at the timeline here, I know when we last had this conversation in March of last year, there was discussion about the issues with getting this pipe And you guys had stated at that time that you were looking to get this pipe ordered. Since then, the pipe has been ordered. It was manufactured, I see, in July, and we have confirmation that it was paid for. And then I also see that the agreement with the contractor in series that was going to do the undergrounding work was completed, I believe, by July 1st as well. So what was the hurdle after that contract had been signed to actually underground the canal at that point?
Was that question posed? GDR? Yes,
that question is for you.
Okay, I wish I had more chance. I wish the contractor was here actually, because I'm not open to doing the contractor and the client. I didn't know they were selecting until they hit me up for RFIs or requests for information. As far as I was told, it was just issues with getting MID to agree with something and something about permits, but, we just lend our support as we're requested to. I couldn't tell you about scheduling between the contractor and the client.
That makes perfect sense. And again, it's frustrating to not have the client here to answer those questions. Now, for all we know, there's due reasons, depending on whatever these issues with MID were, for them not to be able to go, but we need them here to answer to that. Council, I'll be fully and transparent in saying that if housing wasn't such a big need in the community, and if there was not proof of payment for this pipe, I would not want to move forward with this tonight, especially considering that the applicant's not here to answer some of our concerns. Given the fact that there has been over $500,000 committed, I do think that shows some sort of commitment, along with the fact that it looks like there is work being done with staff to get these permits in place. Whatever issues were going on with MID, based on the documentation that we have, those easements have been agreed to. And so I would just agree, Heron, I know you're not the client, but you're the only person we have to speak to here, that if we move forward with this, the expectation is that this gets done, because this is a huge need for the community. We're gonna have more water online at this point, but there have been several developers who've been ready to go to do projects like this that are frustrated with the fact that this project has had water and had extensions and hasn't gotten done when they've been ready to go. So really want to iterate the fact that this needs to get done this year if everything's in place, and for council to grant that extension.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. I'm completely in agreement. Everything I've heard of the last 2 or 3 months, I think it seems to me that it is happening because, we've been providing the necessary information for those permits to be issued, and then we've been working on all the documentation the contractor needs, and, anything they ask, give to them. And there's been movement on it over the last, several months here.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you. I think Councilmember Rupo kind of mirrored what I said. We see some commitment, but I need to see some stronger commitments. They said that if they pull the permits and nothing's acted on, in 6 months they expire, and then I don't see us coming forward unless they, future council, however it's going to be. I can understand there is some commitment, but I'd like to see some stronger commitment. The only way we're going to do is to give them a chance to see, but I think this is going to be it for me, And water is not as big of an issue as it was before, because we're going to have 8A online. So it's not as dire as we're not holding water back from others as much now. So I think we should go ahead and give them an extension, but make it conditional, we said, that we need to see some benchmarks put in, that they need to have permits pulled that need to have that. So I'm not sure how we can put that, I don't know if we can put that in there as far as the condition of approval.
I have an idea.
Sure, go ahead.
So this request is for 12 months, and those permits will expire in 6 months. So why not provide the extension only for 6 months, and then all they have to do is just come back and bring it to council. There's, there shouldn't be a lot of extra work other than just bringing the same item and a quick update. And then if in 6 months, nothing has been done to please the council, then there's no extension, you know? So I think we should really consider a 6-month extension to go along with the permits. If something is done, it's gonna be done. If nothing's gonna be done, then that's it.
I think, is that a motion, Mr. Mayor?
I'll make a motion to extend the permit to 6 months
And I will second that.
Mr. Mayor,
from today.
before we vote on the motion, is it okay if I ask a quick question to the client?
Yes, go ahead.
Or the client's representative, I should say. Heron, are you still there, brother?
I'm still there.
Hey, would like to just get this on the record. As far as you know, in terms of what needs to be done for this to move forward, the last step on the client side is an extension approval from council and permits from the city. Can you confirm that for the record?
Sorry, you cut out there on my end. I apologize. I'm on a cell phone. Can you repeat that last?
Yeah, you're all good. So as far as you know, would you say that the only things that the contractor or the client needs at this point to move forward and get this done are both an extension from the city and permits from the city? Are those the only two hurdles left to cross?
As far as I know, that is what's keeping us from the next step, yes.
Okay, and the reason why I say that is because I know there's another agency here that seems to have been an issue for the client, which is MID. If that happens to pop up for whatever time extension that may be granted, would like to see the client be extremely proactive in getting that done. And if they're not able to get that done, to reach out to us or the elected officials at MID to help move that stuff forward. Our MID representative has been strong, at least when I've worked with him, Mr. Cabral. Obviously, we have relationships with other folks at MID as well. I would not like that to be an issue that pops up later this year, given that there are ways to get around that.
I appreciate you know about that, and I'm glad to hear it. I will say one finicky little thing. You guys are saying a 6-month extension, just because we are still working with the city on getting that permit issued. And I know Noe, Govea, and our office has been working week by week on it. Can we go like 7, maybe 7.5 months or something? I just want to make sure we're getting the timelines exact with the permit being issued and the 6-month extension.
Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, a quick question. The water is off through December 31st, correct? It's in January when it restarts, MID's water?
I'm not certain. I think the water's off through March, right?
Through March is what I understand. Yeah.
Noe, can you come up to the microphone?
Heron, can you confirm the timeline of when the water's actually off?
My understanding is it's November through March is what I historically know, but I don't know if that's changed recently.
So council, something to consider if that's the timeline. If we went 6 months, 6 months to today would be October 21st, and the water wouldn't even be off if it doesn't turn off till November. So theoretically, the contractor wouldn't even be able to start in that timeline. Would you be open to, if we're gonna extend, would you be open to 8 months, which would get us to just about the end of December, and that'd give them a month window in the beginning of, or within that fall water window when it turns off to get started?
Okay, it was my understanding, and correct me, McGill, if I don't understand it, if they are making their benchmarks, then there's no need to come to us, and it's automatic, isn't it, the extension?
That's correct.
Even if we go 6 months, as long as they meet their other benchmarks, then it's still good.
Yeah, so
So there's two components here. So one is undergrounding the canal, and the other one is realigning of certain ports, because there's going to be a realignment of a canal, and that realignment can actually start, now, next month, whenever the permits and everything is set. So by initiating that, they can work on that, and then to Mr. Upo's part, which is, when the water shut off between November and March, they should be able to finalize and complete all of the canal work.
And that's what I was thinking, that They don't have to have the water off. They can continue, they can reroute, do all that. As long as they're doing that, our 6-month extension doesn't matter because they met certain thresholds that will continue after that.
So with that said, we only need 6 months. We don't really need any more than that because that was my point, because they can get work done within those 6 months, and then, I mean, we'll be able to see that, you know, they're doing what needs to be done and everything's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That was a misunderstanding on my part.
Yeah. So, any other questions? If not,
No, you made a motion, I made the second, so.
So I made a motion to consider adopting a resolution to approve a 6-month extension for conditional use permit number 2019-03 and site plan and design review application 2019-4, the Villages on Main residential apartment and community-owned property generally located on the east side of Main Street, south of Peach Avenue, APN 047-280-020 and 047-280-029 as of today. 6 months as of today, from today.
Mr. Mayor, if I might read some language into the record.
Yes, go ahead.
So to effectuate this change, I would recommend an amendment to the bottom of page 2 of the resolution. I'm looking at page 217 of 223 of the agenda packet, where it says, "Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Livingston adopts this resolution approving a 12-month extension to March 18th, 2027. I would recommend modifying that to approving a 6-month extension to October 21st, 2026.
Okay. All right. So with that amendment done, I will keep the motion, and then second. Second, and then roll call, please.
Roll call, Councilmember Ross?
Yes.
Councilmember Paul?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Simmer? Yes. Mayor Moran?
Yes.
Motion passes by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have announcements and reports. City Council announcements and reports. Mr. Roth.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Saturday, I appeared at the Santa Fe Market for their second grand opening. Great event that they've had for the second time. The food was great. They had the raffles going on. I went back that evening and bought meat, actually, to barbecue. So highly recommend that market, and I go there almost every other weekend. So, and then secondly, I would like to congratulate Melissa Alonso, our dispatcher. They're very crucial to this city, and I appreciate everything that they do. Thank you.
Mr. RuPaul?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just one item, but I would like to say it in both English and Punjabi, if that's okay, just given how frequently members of the Punjabi community engage in this topic. So a couple meetings back, I had requested a future agenda item related to several parks improvements that members of the community had requested. There's a handful here. There's a lot of requests for a dog park, for a skate park, for additional basketball courts at Max Foster's, sandboxes within our parks, a number of improvements at Frederick Worden Park, including another basketball court, a walking trail, and a shade structure, and also requests for more benches at Arcalian Park. So these are a ton of requests. I mean, parks obviously is something that folks interact with on a day-to-day basis, so it's at the top of their mind. And while we know that we can't get all of these things done at once, I do think it's important to acknowledge them all, considering how or the volume of requests from the community that's come in. As we go into our budget, I just wanted to confirm that that request has been relayed to staff. There are conversations happening about getting potential cost estimates for some of these amenities, which will come back to council at a future point, and ultimately the community at a future point to get that done. So I just wanted to flag that, and considering how long that took me to say in English, I'm not going to spend 2 to 3 minutes trying to do that slowly in Punjabi, so I'll just put something out on social media related to that. No other reports.
Mayor Pro Tem?
No, not much, other than to say that I was able to throw out the first pitch, and I did a hell of a good job. I haven't done that for years, but what helped me was that we had that expected rain. They had the tarp, so we were really close to each other. That helped a lot, but it went right in there. So other than that, I have nothing else. Oh, yes, I do. Peach Street, Gurdwara, this Saturday we'll have a volleyball tournament, so if anybody's interested in attending, please do so. It is open to the public. Other than that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Just a couple of things real quick. We continue to have monthly meetings with the 99 cycling team and city staff, and planning the return of the bike rodeo on June 13, Saturday, June 13. There's a lot of excitement around that event, and obviously everything else that is going to be happening in the city, but there's going to be bikes given away, and there's going to be a demonstration of a bicycle, race, and it's going to be fun. So mark your calendar, Saturday, June 13th, I believe it is. Also, I had the opportunity to attend the Santa Fe Market second anniversary. A lot of people that were given a lot of gifts out for their second anniversary, a lot of food, big prices, TVs and barbecues, and a lot of things. People were really happy, and it really shows that Santa Fe is doing good, that they're happy that they're in this community. They really enjoy working in this community, and then they have bigger plans. Also, congratulations to Ms. Alonso, Dispatcher of the Year Award, and to everyone at PD for all of the work that they've been doing to keep this city safe. And that's it for me. Next, we have item on the agenda, council direction on future agenda items. I wanted to ask a question, and then again, maybe staff can provide a little bit of context to Mr. Upal's item. Do we have a time frame, a couple more weeks, 4 weeks? I mean, that doesn't have to be exact, but.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. So there's definitely some items that we can do fairly quickly, and there's some other items that now that we have, our next fiscal budget that we're working on, Council will be able to prioritize and move funding in those directions. As it relates to the sandbox, track a lot of cats, and so that's one of the reasons why we don't have it in the play structures. So, that might be something that might not move forward. But like as it relates to, adding another basketball court here and there, benches, fairly easy. Those can be addressed in the next week or two. And some of these other bigger ticket items like, a walk path, and things of that nature, it would require some budgeting of some money, and we can take care of those this next fiscal year.
Would it be safe to ask if we can just probably start the conversation in a couple of weeks, and obviously only address some items that are easier to
Yeah, so staff has already received direction from my office as it relates to the benches, as it relates to the, what can we do with the basketball courts? Because again, it might just be adding a pole and so forth. Others might require some more concrete work. But, the bigger ticket items, for sure, those, we're pushing them over to the next fiscal year and talk about it in the budgeting session.
Okay.
But thank you for that input, and the community will see several of these things done fairly quickly.
Definitely. And ultimately, it's up to the residents to prioritize which one's got to get done first, because we know we can't do them all at once. Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, I do have an item request for the future. Either likely to be last meeting of May or first meeting of June, still working with the high school council. If it's okay with you, I think it would be really cool to bring in some of our LHS athletes, and specifically the teams that have either won a league championship, potentially a section championship, and potentially acknowledge any specific students that have, or athletes that have achieved high honors like a league MVP, a seasonal MVP, stuff like that. They represent us all the time out in different cities, representing us at home when other folks come in. I think that's probably the greatest level of interaction that most people outside of Livingston have with our city is our athletes. And so the ones that are representing us well, ruining other cities' athletes' moods when they win, and making us look good. And obviously we have a volleyball team right now that's probably going to compete and do pretty well moving forward. I think it would be awesome to bring them all in the same way that we brought in our volleyball athletes last year.
So that would be the second meeting in June, because the first meeting in June is canceled because of the election.
You're right, I forgot about that. That's primary day. The graduation for the high school is going to happen that first Thursday of June, I believe. So we'd probably have to bring them in second meeting in May. I have been in touch with the athletic director, but once I get a confirmation from him, I'll definitely alert our staff. Thank you.
All right, so is that a motion?
Yes, would love to have a second on that.
I'll second that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mayor, we only need
Yeah, you only.
two council
That's right.
requests an
Go ahead.
item. Yeah.
I was just on a roll, I just wanted another roll call. All right. Is there any other council direction on future agenda items? Seeing none, meeting is adjourned at 9:12.